an offshoot of the Icelandic Festival of Manitoba, the Gimli International Film Festival has become an enticing celebration of the art of film in the Manitoba town. There's something for everyone with activities, workshops, and films of all types and genres.
My name is David Knipe, and I am the Gimli International Film Festival's senior film programmer. This year, I've been overseeing the film programming, the film programming team, as well as being responsible for selecting the international fiction films at the festival. And I've been with the festival for 8 years now.
So have you been in that role the whole time, or is this a new position?
No, it's not a new position, but I first started out actually just as a volunteer back in 2015. Volunteered, ended up kind of getting tasked or tapped to be the festival director at that time's kind of right-hand person, helping out with some stuff. And then I came back the next year in a paid position doing logistics and management and a little bit of programming. And since 2018, I believe, I've been the senior film programmer.
This is why volunteering is important.
Totally.
Maybe you don't have the necessary skills at beginning, but if there's something you're passionate about, volunteer. You can learn about the organization from the inside. And who knows, like yourself, you might eventually find a position within that organization.
The best thing for breaking into an industry like the film industry is to get yourself out there, and we all know that making those connections is so important for getting work in the film industry and many industries. And it's really about who you know and the connections and relationships you make and you keep. And for a lot of people, that starts with volunteering. And that's how it worked for me.
Coming back around, what exactly is the Gimli International Film Festival?
At its essence, the Gimli International Film Festival is a 5-day celebration of the art of moving image. So it happens every July in the beautiful lakeside town of Gimli, Manitoba, right on the water there. 5 days of film screenings, indoors and outdoors at our beach venues. We have industry events and workshops and master classes and filmmakers in attendance and panels and parties. And it's a really great opportunity for, cinephiles and film fans and filmmakers and artists and casual viewers to just come out and spend a week, in the beautiful weather out by the lake, watch some incredible films and meet a bunch of cool people.
How did an international film festival get its start in a small town like Gimli? It seems to be the place that's popping. Not only is it a tourist destination, people go there to go to the beach. There's also the Icelandic Festival there as well on the August long weekend. So what's up with this community? Why is there so much happening here?
Well, I think you hit it right there, is the Icelandic Festival. So that's where the Gimli International Film Festival's birth lies. That's how the festival grew. So 22 years ago, when our founder, Janice Johnson, started the festival, it was really just as a single offshoot of the Icelandic Festival, which had already been going. So we trace our roots back to that event, and our roots run deep within the community of Gimli and the Icelandic population out there. And it's something that we still continue to celebrate and honor in our programming every year. We have a great slate of Icelandic films on offer every year. And as far as, what makes Gimli such a great locale for an event like this and the Icelandic Fest, I think people want to get away. They want to feel like they're in a destination that's attractive and exciting and outside the city. And of course, as Manitobans, we all want to flee the city in the summer and get out to the lake. So if you have attractions and events and stuff going on during your vacation at the lakeside community, it's all the better. And I know for film festivals, in my experience, and I think a lot of other people would agree, is the best ones are the ones that feel like they're building their own community within a community. So anytime you can have a festival that takes over a town for a week, you feel this real sense of camaraderie and closeness with people. And there's just an electricity in the air, and everyone's really excited and there for the same reason and on the same page. And so I think that's something that's really made the film festival unique and is a reason that it's endured for 22 years.
and it's a substantial benefit to the community as well. You got tourist dollars coming, you got people around the world
Mhm.
visiting this town. Maybe it's something they'll come back to on their another vacation.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And that's a review that we hear often from our out of town filmmakers that we'll bring in from around Canada, sometimes internationally, is just how much they fall in love with the town and the people. They're out at the Ship and Plow bar, having a meal with some locals and sharing some great stories and doing karaoke later on. And it's just a really great small town feel that does attract people from all over the world, and people just fall in love with it.
What does it take to put on a festival like this of this scale on
Mhm.
in Gimli? What is sort of the manpower or effort all involved?
It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that every year it's taking more and more as the festival grows, bigger and better each year. Luckily, we've been blessed for many years with a really strong core group of people that are really passionate and committed. And that stems from our board of directors who've been around for a really long time. The founder, Janice Johnson, of course, but through our succession of festival directors that we've had over the years, and through our programming team, many of whom come back year after year. And then, of course, our volunteers. It's really the volunteers that make this ship go every year. And when we're at our fullest capacity, we're at over 100 volunteers in a season, really making things go. And they're out on the ground, interacting with the patrons and the audiences, and getting people excited and answering questions and doing all the really nitty gritty hands-on work that makes this festival go. So big shout out to all the volunteers.
Do you still need volunteers for this year's festival?
Always. We always need more volunteers. We're, we'll sit there. We'll welcome anybody with open arms. Anybody that wants to join the volunteer corps this year, so they can get in touch with our volunteer coordinator, Rochelle Steinmetz, whose email I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you go to our website, gimlifilm.com, you can find out how to get in touch and how to register as a volunteer. And there's a variety of different ways you can get involved as a volunteer and a variety of different time commitments. We're also offering a free shuttle service out from Winnipeg every day for volunteers. So we're really trying to make it as easy as possible for people to volunteer because we want people.
These festivals, like you mentioned, do not happen without
Yeah.
the diligent volunteers who dedicate their time and efforts
Yeah.
to coming on their day off.
Totally. And it's been tough. I know, the Folk Fest just wrapped and kept hearing about how tough it was for them to get enough volunteers. And I think they had to cut some services because of it. And we're hearing that across the board with these summer arts festivals is just how hard it is to get people to be comfortable to come back out and volunteer their time and their effort in a post-pandemic world. um, and we're feeling the same thing. It's a crunch, but luckily we've got a really good team, and everyone's really enthusiastic, and the response has been great so far. But yeah, we could always use more help.
The hesitancy out there. I went to a movie last weekend, and you hear someone cough in the background. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, what?
Yeah.
So there's always something in the back of your mind, and it's gonna take a while for the population to get over that. But for the Gimli International Film Festival, coming back in person, what is that reaction? Being able to hold an in-person event again?
Complete unbridled excitement and enthusiasm. I mean, as a team, we're just so anxious to get things going and to be out there on the ground next week in Gimli. It's what we look forward to every year, and it really just motivates us and drives us, and we have such a great time. So to be able to come back together after 2 tough years and do it all again in person and see some familiar faces and have chat about movies, which is my favorite thing to do at the festival. Bump into somebody coming out of a film that I've programmed and see what they thought, and have a bit of a dialogue. These are all the things that we miss being locked behind our screens for 2 years. So I know the festival team is really excited and eager to get things going and see everyone again. And I think that extends to our audience. We're seeing a great response so far, and sure, there's reluctance. I think there will be, and people are still getting acclimatized to this new world, and figuring out where their comfort zone is. We're doing everything we can as an organization to make things as safe, secure, and comfortable for our audiences as possible. So we're really confident that people are going to be as happy as we are to be back in person.
Not being able to hold in-person events for 2 years, not great. But one of the benefits was being able to find audiences from around the world with your digital curation. And I know that's something that you're doing again this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had great response from it the last couple of years when we were forced to run a virtual version of the festival. And as you said, we really expanded our reach outside the province and outside the country. We had people tuning in from around the world. And so, that and other things really showed the possibilities of digital offerings and platforms, but also the necessities of it. And we still wanted to have a virtual version of the festival, which is going to run for 2 weeks after the in-person festival ends. We wanted to have that option available for people who maybe don't feel comfortable coming back in person, can't come back for any accessibility issues, and of course to continue to reach out to our growing audience outside of the province.
And it's on the new website that it's only been maybe a month now that the new website is launched.
Yeah. It's great. It's all through this platform called Eventive, which I've used quite a bit in my other programming gigs, and it's great. It looks awesome for the customer. All the customer facing dashboard and visuals are really clean and easy to navigate. And the response is really good from people. Tech wise, it's really reliable, and there aren't any issues on the streaming end. So we found it's really great for us, and people seem to like it.
So, as a cinemaphile, why is it important to have film festivals like this to celebrate film? And lots of these films aren't just movies that you can go into the theater, the blockbuster hits. There's a lot of on the ground, like budding creators.
Yeah, totally. I think there's many reasons. I think, there's a really common misconception nowadays since the advent of streaming, and especially now through the pandemic, by people that think that everything is available at all times. You can go and see any movie you want at any point. You can click a button, stream anything you want from your couch in your living room. And that's just not true. I mean, there are so many thousands of films made around the world every year that if they aren't programmed in a festival like Gimli International Film Festival, they won't see an audience. And that's not because they're not deserving of an audience. That's just because there is too much content out there. We all know this. It's, when you're browsing through your Netflix, Criterion channel, whatever, trying to pick something to watch that night, you often end up spending that hour and a half browsing and being unable to decide on something to watch. So what film festivals and cinematheques and independent movie theaters and art houses do is that they offer a bit of a curation. They will sift through and research and do all the work of distilling down the hundreds and thousands of films that get made around the world every year into a really easy, digestible, kind of catered selection. And these are films that if there's a good programming team behind the event, that you can trust that these films are world class, engaging, progressive, thought provoking, poignant, effective, and exciting. And I think that's really why the world still needs film festivals, cinemas, and programmers, is because we do this work of sifting through all the garbage and all the glut of content out there, bring audiences the best.
I like to think of movies kind of in like a food allegory. that you have your blockbuster films that you can go to the theater at any time. That's kind of like your junk food. Like it's nice, it satisfies you in the moment, but it can get a little overwhelming if you have too much of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go, you find these curated pieces, some of these art films are independent. You're starting to get into your more creative delicacies, almost like a fine steak with a wine at times, something that you're in the moment, you enjoy it, you break it apart, you see all the different aspects of it.
I would totally agree. And that's not to level a judgment at any of those films, you know. Even the junk food films, as you say, can be just as satisfying and
Well, I just watched Thor: Love and Thunder the other day,
yeah.
and I know the reviews online are a little mixed, but for myself, I really had a lot of fun.
There you go. I mean, for me, there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. You know, I think everything is up for grabs, everything is on the table, everything is relative, and as long as you're enjoying it and you're getting a kick out of it, then nothing else matters. You know. And that's the beauty of film, and why I've devoted my life to it, is that it really can lead you in any direction you want, and it's really just infinite in its possibilities and opportunities for discovery, and feelings and moods and perspectives and stories, and it just contains such multiplicities, and it's such a beautiful thing.
Is there a particular film that stands out to you this year out of the curation?
Yeah, you know, this year's program, and of course, every programmer is going to say, "Oh, you know, what an incredible selection we've assembled for you this year." But really, this year, I feel like our film selections across the board are just so strong and impactful. There's quite a few documentaries that I'm really proud of our team for selecting. One called Geographies of Solitude, which is a Canadian documentary premiered at the Hot Docs International Documentary Festival this spring, and it's such a perfect marriage of aesthetic and subject. And it's about this researcher, this woman who lives isolated out on this piece of land off the East Coast called Sable Island, which is kind of an uninhabited land, which is home to thousands of wild horses and sea lions. And she's devoted the last 40 years of her life to living alone on this island, studying the flora and fauna, the ecosystem there, tracking waste that is washed up on the shore. And she's an artist herself. So you're down there in the mud with her, going through her process of scientifically tracking and categorizing everything that's happening on the island, but also as she's using what she finds on the island in her artistic practice. And the film itself is shot on 16 millimeter. The filmmaker, yeah, it's
Classic.
gorgeous. And the filmmaker is using really organic experimental methods and techniques to process the film, you know, burying it in horse manure and allowing the organic chemicals to actually develop and process that film. And she found that she could take these tiny little electrode microphones and stick it next to or on a bug. And then the bug's electromagnetic pulses would create a noise that she could translate into MIDI and make a soundtrack out of.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
incredible, and it's beautiful.
I've seen that on like TikTok with
Okay.
individuals making music out of plants.
Yeah.
Like they attach it
Yeah.
to mushrooms or different plants, and each one has a unique sound, and they
Totally.
just kind of add some beats
Yeah.
underneath. It's
Yeah.
really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So she does that throughout the film, and it's just such a remarkable piece of art. So I really love that film. You know, I think we've got a lot of films that are going to be great crowd pleasers to a lot of our audience. You know, we have a lot of really heralded films, award winners, you know, Academy Award nominated films, from the documentary Flea to the Norwegian film The Worst Person in the World, which is a popular favorite. And of
I
course,
think I've seen that movie before. I think
yeah,
I've seen it.
it played briefly in theaters here, but we're happy to bring it back because it didn't get the due that it deserved when it first came out.
And I think another cool thing is the first for the 2022 Aldo Award. The winner is a documentary filmmaker. So, what was the deliberations when, presenting this award?
Yeah, well, that award is a unique thing. It doesn't have a jury process, so to speak, behind it. It's an honorary award that's given out by our board of directors to a distinguished recipient every year. So often this is a filmmaker who has exhibited through their career a commitment to film art and social justice and progressing the art form forward. And this year is Nettie Wild, who's a celebrated Canadian documentarian, really beloved, longtime Canadian filmmaker, friend of the festival that we're happy and proud to honor with the Aldo this year. And we're going to be showing her film Conaline at the festival, and Nettie will be in attendance. So there will be a very special Q&A after that screening as well.
And for UTalk listeners, we're actually going to be talking with Nettie for a future episode, so be prepared for that.
That'll be fun.
Very exciting. This festival is taking place next weekend in Gimli. Where can people go to get their tickets?
www.gimlifilm.com for all of your ticket and film information.
So, David, I guess just finally, what are your hopes for the future of the Gimli International Film Festival?
Yeah. Well, I think this year we have a new festival director, Alan Wong, and he's got some big and bright ideas. He led the rebranding in changing the festival's name from Gimli Film Festival to Gimli International Film Festival. So I think that really signals the organization's desire to keep growing outward, to keep expanding our reach across Canada and the world, to uphold our reputation as Manitoba's premier film festival, and put us on the map for international film festivals. So for me, that means getting more filmmakers in town, engaging with broader audiences, and continuing the stellar programming and event offering that we always have for these 22 years.
If you have a story you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was UTalk, and have yourself a good one.